There we go. Start again.
I always forget to do that. Yeah, good evening, everybody. We're going to talk to you about our naturally thriving in menopause, a course that Alice and I have put together. And we're just going to introduce ourselves to start with, in case you don't know who we are. I am Jo Adams. I'm a midlife strength and menopause coach. And it's not just about getting fit, it's just the whole package. We talk about our five pillars, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute: movement, nutrition, sleep, stress management, and low tox living. And it's really empowering women to know how to look after themselves the best they can in midlife and beyond, really, because we want to live long, happy, healthy lives. So I only really got into taking my health seriously when I hit my 40s. And then started to struggle with perimenopause, although I didn't realize that's what it was at the time. Now I do. And yeah, so I want other women to be educated and understand how they can help themselves. And move you on and introduce Alison. Can I move us? Oh, I've got this little thing to let people in everywhere. Bits of right. There we go, Alison.
Brilliant. Hi. So I'm Alison Bartolo. So my natural health journey started more when I became a mum, and I actually was introduced to doTERRA essential oils, and that just like blew my mind and opened my eyes to being able to use plant medicine. And when you're using real unadulterated plants, how brilliant that is as medicine, and then creating more of a low tox way of living, and then on a journey to nutrition and all the things that we're going to be talking about. So then I have hit my perimenopause in the last couple of years, which has shown up. Hopefully not as as a little bit more gently, because I have been looking after my body in the last decade or so. But one of the ways I'll just warn you that is showing up for me is every time I get passionate, I my cheeks are going crazy, crazy red and bright pink. So Zoom calls are like the worst. So by the end of this call, I'm going to look like a beetroot, and I'm just embracing perimenopause. So yeah, they were just I'm a living, breathing example of how crazy our bodies can be in this period. So yeah, excited to share with you what is working for us and what's working for our communities as well.
Okay, so our intention today really is to basically give you an overview of menopause. This is just a free webinar, so we're going to at the end we'll have an offering to share with you. Hope you'll want to take your journey further. There's only so much we can get cover in an hour, but our philosophy is to help women to take their power back and get to a place where we don't need to look outside of ourselves for intervention. It takes effort, commitment, and a bit of a willingness to take action to create your best life. Small steps, small changes. We want you to thrive with us. So I'm going to. So what is menopause? Menopause is actually just one day, 12 months from your final period, and it all comes down from a decline in our sex hormones, particularly our estrogen. This decline, I'm going to show you on in a slide in a minute, is not a nice steady decline. It is a very much a roller coaster, and it can take years. And although they say that the average age is 51, we know that women are hitting perimenopause a lot earlier, mid 30s generally now, and people start feeling like they just sort of say, oh, I don't really feel like myself. I can't really put my finger on it. And we'll explain a little bit more about what happens when the estrogen goes down and how it affects every single part of our body. So when people say that they're struggling with menopause, it's actually the perimenopause, because the menopause is just one day, and after that you are post-menopause. So if we look at the next slide here, you've got premenopause. So when your hormones, once you've gone through puberty, and then your hormones are sort of steady. And then, as I said, although it says commonly occurs in the 40s, we are seeing more and more in mid 30s because of lifestyle changes and food we eat, and just our general day-to-day living now. So it will be, you'll see irregular periods, weight gain, mood swings, and then we're going to talk about the whole wide range of symptoms that you can suffer from. And then say average age is 51, but that is tend to be earlier. Some ladies obviously have struggled for years, or they might have gone through surgical menopause, and then that's slightly different. So as you can see here, the estrogen levels versus your age, obviously hit peak in our 30s, and then starts to decline in our 40s, and possibly now that would say that would change slightly, that your levels are going down in your 30s is what the average age. And say like if you've had surgical menopause or whatever, then that would be an earlier time. Some people go through it a lot earlier, but we're talking about the natural decline due to natural aging. And as you can see here, our hormone levels, like estrogen is just literally a roller coaster. It starts steady and then it's up and down, up and down. And I'm sure many of you on this call can actually understand how that feels, because you know what it's like. You are living that roller coaster. One day you're crying, then you're laughing, then your hair's falling out, then your skin's itchy, and as well. So it's why we can feel okay and then feel horrendous one day after another. It's changing all the time. And in our course, we talk a lot about how your adrenal glands take over. Hence, we have a lot of anxiety and things like that. So it's quite interesting when you look into what's happening with your hormones and how the adrenal glands take over, and why it's so important for the self-care, which we're going to talk a bit more about later. So when you think about perimenopause symptoms, anyone put in the chat what symptoms you've found or that you're aware of? What you struggle with the most, maybe? What we've got here. Itchy skin, yeah.
Itchy skin,
As I
yeah.
start itching, I've been getting eczema patches at times. Weight gain, yeah, always around the middle. Hair loss, brain fog, concentration. It's so frustrating. You feel like you're going crazy, don't you? The fatigue, feeling hungover each morning despite having no alcohol. Yeah, I do that. I think, oh, I feel like I've been on it all night. Hair and nails, yeah. Tears, yeah, lots and lots of tears. Well done, excellent. Yeah, good range there from some of you. So when we think perimenopause, we quite often, oh, someone's wanting to get in. Let's just let them in. These are the sort of main symptoms that we think about. We think about weight gain, trouble sleeping, feeling irritable, our periods being irregular, and hot flushes. I always say this, touch wood, never had a hot flush. So they're not always what you might struggle with. So you might not realise at the time that what you're struggling with is perimenopause. And when you look on this slide, there's actually 34 official symptoms, but we know that there's up to 50 or more. And it can be a different combination for different women. Like we're all unique, we're all different. So have a look at them and see how many of them. I put this in my school group actually the other day. I think I had about 50 in alphabetical order, and people put I've done 30 or 25. So have a little look at them if you want to put your score in, or say, or ones you weren't sure that you didn't realise. Bleeding gums, like our estrogen going down affects our mouth and gum health. So I've been getting really dry mouth, which is awful, and like taste changes your taste. So yeah, if anyone wants to share their score in there, or one that they found.
Still adding up.
Yeah.
It gets no.
I'd say
Pardon me.
change body odor as well. Sometimes you get a bit paranoid, don't you? You think, oh, like I'm smelling. Anxiety for me was a big thing, and really bad heart palpitations rather. Okay, nobody put in the chat. So, we've got any answers in there? No, nobody wants to share that one. I shall move on to the next one. So it's tempting to look outside of ourselves for an answer to these issues. So can the doctor prescribe something to make these symptoms go away? The quick fixes often don't help in the long run. So I had a call with a woman last week, and she was like, went to the doctor and they just said, no, at 47, she was apparently too young for perimenopause. They couldn't put her on HRT because they can only go on it for 5 years. And just here's some antidepressants. And she's like, no, I'm not. She'd been to one of our menopause mingle groups, and she's like, I knew that wasn't the answer. So she's now looking at her exercise and her sleep and everything else, and speaking to me about it because she doesn't want to go on antidepressants. So yeah, it is And we've got weight loss jabs at the moment, very hot topic, but these have got really dangerous side effects. And we know that for women going through perimenopause, we are losing muscle. I'll talk about it a bit later on in exercise, but we lose muscle. And these jabs are literally stopping you from eating. And so you're then losing muscle, which is going to really affect you in the long run. So there's more about that later. So it's not about being skinny, and it's not about being what we like when we were 20. It's about building our health, and being strong. And instead of masking them, we're going to teach you that you've got the solutions inside of you. We're going to teach you how to balance your hormones with like holistic approach, and about strengthening your body and your mind to get you into that optimal state of wellness, so you can thrive and you feel alive and just more energized. Like, as you know, just because our estrogen levels have gone down doesn't mean that we can't be um, energized and excited about life. We might live 30, 40 years in menopause rather than post-menopause. So we want to feel fantastic. So Alison's going to talk to you a bit about supporting our hormones naturally and our 5 pillars.
Yeah, absolutely. So everything that we teach is based on these 5 pillars. And to be honest, this is what I've taught regardless of the topic, actually. So when we're dealing with people who might be suffering with depression, or even people who may be managing fertility issues, we find that actually, no matter what's going on in someone's health life, it's these 5 pillars that really bring the core back to it. So this is looking at life from that holistic perspective. And Joe and I have put together a really comprehensive course that is designed specifically around the perimenopause and menopause, and just helping keep the hormones in balance. So we have helped hundreds of women to transition smoothly and peacefully and joyfully through to menopause by really focusing on these areas. So each module is about 30 minutes to an hour. There's only one that I think is an hour, that might be the nutrition one, but these are much more of a deeper dive. So today, obviously, we're just going to give you a little bit of a flavor of these. We can't give you everything, we'd love to, but just time wise, but just, love to guide you through the best way to feel your best in every way. So we're going to touch on each pillar briefly. So starting with our nutrition, which really is the foundation of health. So, they say you are what you eat. And in our course that we put together, we go through things like protein and phytoestrogens, and we talk about the right fats, because there's lots of different types of fats. We talk about energy production in the body, probiotics, like which are good ones, because there's lots of rubbish ones out there full of sugars that are actually feeding the bad bacteria. We talk about things that are irritating to the gut, which can lead to hormone disruption, and also about supplements. So if we look at protein, just as an example, we look at why this is such an important thing. There's a number of studies actually that show how this is such a critical part of our diet when we're going through the perimenopause. So we show you how much you should be aiming for, and how you can calculate what your body needs, and the different foods. So we can get protein from plants, but also it's in higher ratio in meats. So even if you are a vegetarian, we can show you exactly which foods that we recommend, and also look at recommended protein powders. So I think both of us take the doTERRA protein powder, which is a brilliant plant-based one and has 22 grams of protein in each serving. So that's something you're welcome to try as well. So with the phytoestrogens, we're going to be talking about how these impact the cells a little bit later, but which foods to find them in, and that sort of thing, and how inflammatory foods are really disruptive to our hormones, and how we want to focus on that. When we're looking at energy production, this is a really, really important part of the nutrition element. So we'll just share this with you today. That's something really simple that you can look at when you're looking at food labels. So very simply, when we have something that's high, that produces sugar spikes. So if we were to have like a chocolate bar, it's going to give us a really big sugar spike straight away, but then we're going to have the sugar crash. And that sugar spike is far too much energy. It's not what we need. So ends up getting stored as fat. And then we have a crash really quickly. So we're craving more and more foods. So we're really looking, particularly at this time in our lives, at a much more sustained energy release in our foods. So things that have got a higher fiber content are going to release the energy from the food much more slowly. So a really simple thing to look at on food labels is that the fiber is at least a 10% ratio of the carbs. So, for example, if you look at a food label of whatever, loaf of bread, you might see on a white loaf that the carbohydrate might be 26 grams and the fiber rate might be 1 gram. Well, we want the fiber rate to be at least 10%. So if it's 26 grams of carbohydrate, then 10% of that is 2.6. So looking at the fiber and seeing that it's at least 10% of what the carbohydrate is just a really quick way of starting to read labels and starting to be conscious and aware of how things are going to having that impact on our body. And you'll notice that wholemeal breads will have that higher fiber ratio, and that's going to have a better impact on the body. So it's just a really simple way of looking at it. There's some brilliant probiotics. Again, I take the doTERRA ones that are really proven to have benefits for perimenopausal women. And then, yeah, we look at gut irritants as well. Now, one of the big things is supplementation. So foods these days, the soil depletion, it's been shown that the nutrient value in our foods from like, because of the soil depletion is about 40% lower than it was in the 70s. So this is, even if we're eating healthily, because of the way that food is manufactured now, and it's such an industry, it's a food industry, we are on the back foot and trying to pedal to keep up because the industry is completely different to how it was even for our parents, let alone our grandparents' generation, where they could get much more from their food. So whilst we never really want to take a quick fix of just saying, we'll take a pill and everything's going to be right, we want you to really think about what you're putting in your body and look at what you're eating. But supplementation can be a really quick, easy way to feel better. And, for me, it gives me more energy to then be able to look to cook from scratch and more effort and energy to be able to go out and exercise and have a clearer mind so that I can actually make a better plan for my health. So um, one of the things to watch out for on the next slide is actually that a lot of supplements on the market are fake. They are synthetic. They're full of bulking agents. If you've ever had any supplements that you end up going to the toilet with like bright green neon wee, that's basically expensive wee. And that really shows often a lot of supplements, they'll put in huge amounts, like 600% of the recommended daily allowance. And that's because the absorption of synthetic minerals is just very low in the body. The human body just won't take those synthetic substances on, so it just pees them out, which is why we have that green wee. So it's about having natural, bioavailable in food format supplements that the body recognizes and actually absorbs. So um, I'm just having a look here. Yeah, you've already moved on. That's great. So yeah, I did a bit of research on this. This is something I'm really passionate about because we've helped women with fertility issues, with supplements. We've helped them with all sorts of things. So it's something researched really quite extensively, and I found there's 68 minerals and herbs and vitamins that have got clinical evidence to show reduction in all sorts of perimenopause symptoms. So if you look here at this chart, you can see, I know it's very tiny, so I'll share a link with you so you can actually look at this more closely if you like. But across the top, it's just some of those. We know there's, a lot more, but some of those key core perimenopausal symptoms. And down the left-hand side are those 68 minerals that I found there's clinical evidence to show that it's supportive of the body. And if there's a Y in the cell, I do love a good spreadsheet, then it's shown that it has got evidence to back it up. And what you'll see is that there's quite a lot that are highlighted in green. And it would be amazing if there was one supplement that we could take that had, all 68 of these. We can't quite find one that's that perfect. Often, if you buy something off Amazon, it might have 2 or 3 of them, and that will be in synthetic form and be quite expensive. But I found that you can actually only buy 32 of these if you actually look online. And I looked at Holland and Barrett. I could only find that many of them, which is less than half. And it was going to cost £202 for the bulk cheap synthetic supplies. If you bought the biggest bulk and then worked out what a 30-day supply would cost, it was over £200 for half of what's in that. So not particularly sustainable and probably not even that helpful. But everything that's highlighted in green there, so that's 53 out of the 68, is all available in doTERRA's lifelong vitality supplements. So these are what I really recommend for anybody who's looking to balance their hormones. I've taken these daily for 10 years. Oh, Joe's got them as well. And we've just found they have been so beneficial. And again, it's not just like take this pill and everything's going to be all right. But it does bring that clarity and that energy and reduce the brain fog, which allows us to then look at all the other areas, give us more energy to, make the impact. And everything feeds everything. When we're sleeping well, we've got more energy to exercise, and all those pillars end up feeding each other. It's like a lovely web. Whereas when we're feeling depleted, it's like a cycle that we get lost in. But likewise, if we can lift ourselves out of that, it's really brilliant as well. So just quickly, the VM is the vitamins and minerals. So it's got everything from the A to the, vitamins A, B, C, D, K to Z. They've got the zinc and selenium and magnesium, everything in there. And then we've got the E-omegas. So the omegas are really important for our brain health, which is something that we really need for that brain fog, because the actual neurons, they need that fat and omegas as a conductor for messages to get through, and that starts to deplete as we age. So that's really something we want, that the conduction within the brain to keep the messaging going. And the alpha CRS stands for cellular repair system. So it's all like our naturopathic herbs in there. So from boswellic acid to our green tea and pomegranate, coenzyme Q10 and all sorts. So really, really beautiful, all natural food format. There's 12 servings of different fruits and veggies in there and dandelion and all sorts. So absolutely beautiful. And anyone who does try these just for a month will automatically get free access to our whole training program. So, and all the modules and ebooks and everything's for free. So we just invite you to try these for 30 days. They have a 30-day money back guarantee, so you can give them a shot and see how you feel. And we've had so many women with amazing testimonials. Joe, did you want to share how you felt when you first tried them?
Yeah, just my hair wouldn't grow. My hairdresser was saying it was breaking, and I had got stress and things as well. And I've been taking them, and I do have some extensions, but I don't have as many extensions as I used to have, because she said I don't need them anymore. Really, it's growing. My nails are generally, until I break them doing a lifting a weight, I've actually got nice thick nails. Actually, one of the kids at school was saying to me the other day, "Oh my God, you've got lovely long natural nails." So yes, so it's definitely, and energy wise, it makes you feel better.
And I think that one of the things, we've got loads of scientists on our team as well. And one of our biology scientists said, remember her saying, the nails, it sounds silly because you're like, oh, well, it's not really that important that you've got healthy nails. But actually, with your skin and nails and eyes look healthy. When someone looks healthy, that's great, but it's not just aesthetic, because our body won't prioritize looking good. It'd be nice if it did. But it prioritizes internal function, it prioritizes healthy cells. And if we can see that somebody on the outside, their skin, their hair, their nails is looking lovely and shiny, it's actually means that all the internals are working really well, because the body's going to prioritize those first. So actually, I do think it's a really good thing that our hair and nails are looking lovely. So there's a couple of testimonials here on the screen. It's too small for me to read.
Yeah.
You have to just share a
This has
couple of
helped
minutes.
people with, Carolyn said it was helping. She was having 10 to 12 hot flushes every day, but within 2 weeks of starting LLV, they went away and they've not returned. Someone said that LLV had changed her from almost stabbing her hubby with a fork into a loving angel. Taking the supplements has helped me clear my body of harmful xenoestrogens. And then within 2 months of being on LLV, my hairdresser wanted to know what on earth I was doing, because my hair was healthier and growing faster than I'd ever seen it. And then my nails are healthy and growing for the first time in life, and my energy has increased. And I'd say that was my um, how I feel from being on them. And I don't take the full amount either. I take half a dose. So
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, a lot of people will take just half dose, so one pack will last 2 months, which is brilliant. So on the next slide, you can see just a link there if you want to have a little bit closer look at the spreadsheet. So Bitly does care about the capitals. So just LLV stands for the lifelong vitality, and then Menno's up. So capital M and capital S and everything else lowercase if you want to just have a little bit of a deeper look at that.
Okay, I'm going to talk to you about movement in menopause and why it's so important. Uh, Oh my gosh, there we go. So, we're going to, in our movement module, we talk about the different types of exercise that are better to support your body through the menopause. Specifically, as I mentioned a bit earlier, that we lose muscle mass as we hit our mid-30s quite rapidly. And then I'm sure many of you might have been aware of maybe you've had family members that have fallen, have broken a hip when they're older. And we know that there's such a danger to women's health. If you break a bone, your risk of death from that is quite high once we hit sort of 60s and 70s. So it's really important that we learn how to keep our muscle mass and protect our bone density. From you can keep it and you can build muscle as well if you want to. So keeping strong is absolutely vital. It is literally muscle is a key to longevity. It's so important. Uh, Mindset is obviously quite important as well because a lot of women, because they feel maybe they're not sleeping properly, their mood and is low, and then they're not really doing anything to help. But if you actually start doing something, even if it's just going for a walk, then you will start to feel better. So movement is so important. It doesn't, whatever you enjoy will help your mindset, will help you sleep better. It's all like we talked about those 5 pillars, they all come in together. So walking is free and everybody can do that. And even just getting out for 5-10 minutes every day. I know it's difficult with the darker mornings and evenings and the weather, but wrap up warm and just get out and get fresh air. If you stick some earphones in and listen to a podcast or whatever, go out for a friend and go for a walk. It says your risk of death decreases by 70% if you walk regularly. Dementia, there's a lower risk of dementia if you walk regularly. So yeah, it really is a superpower. Strength training, obviously, is what I specialise in. So helping women in midlife and beyond doing some strength training to help maintain that muscle mass, protect against osteoporosis. It's never too late to start. Everybody can do it. It does. You don't have to be in a gym lifting big weights. You're not going to get bulky. It's all about teaching you how just small things, small changes can make such a difference and protect you. Um, and then we've got mobility, keeping yourself like flexible. We talk about the strength like Pilates and yoga, and just keeping yourself mobile. So when you're old, you can get up the stairs, go to the toilet, do all those things you want to do. You want to keep yourself mobile as long as possible and independent, and injury prevention as well. So you're not going to have that fall. You're not going to end up in hospital with a broken hip and bones, and then be at risk of infection. So yeah, movement is so important. And then I'm going to talk to you about sleep as well, and quality sleep and stress. So we all know how we feel if we've not had a great night's sleep. Last few days have not been. I've not had a great night's sleep. I think I'm going away tomorrow and I've got things on my mind. So it really does make a difference to you. But we talk a lot about things you can do to get yourself into a good routine. So if you have a good night's sleep, you've got the energy to go out and do some exercise. You're not snapping at people. You just feel so much better. There's so many things you can do to help yourself with your sleep. And we're going to talk about some certain oils that can help you. But there are whole sleep and stress are two separate comprehensive modules in our program. There's so many different ways to help our sleep hygiene and reduce our stress load. So yeah, we talk about how it making it your sanctuary, the stress cycle, because they really help when I spoke to you earlier about the hormones coming down, the estrogen declining and the adrenal glands kicking in. So that whole stress where you're feeling in fight and flight response all the time, and we want to get into the rest and digest. There's hundreds of small little things that we can do, we can implement. Just changing just a few of them to start with can make a massive difference and directly impact our perimenopause symptoms. We talk about how you can improve your sleep hygiene with lighting and choosing colours, and especially essential oils that can support your sleep and stress. Sounds that you can use. We talk about the vagal tone, how that so important to work on a vagal tone. Your good stresses. It is really important to have those good stress, and just routines and making those little changes and little habits. In my group the other day, we talked about just literally picking three things to start with and then building on them. That's really important. Don't try and overwhelm yourself and change everything at once. So yeah, if we talk about the what role our adrenal glands play in our estrogen production, so if we're constantly stressed, then we're constantly producing that adrenaline, and that's when you always feel like you're on edge. You've got those palpitations, and you just can't deal with things. You can't manage things. You're snapping at people. You feel like you can't. People, I know ladies that aren't working because they don't feel like they're able to at the moment. Um, so yeah, it's really important that we get them sort of under balance and understand what's happening to our body so we can help ourselves. And then we've got what we sort of like the sandwich generation. So we've got aging parents, and then we might have challenging teenagers or even younger children. We might have financial pressures. We've obviously got cost of living crisis and everything that's going on. Life is just stressful. Like we're just bombarded with news all the time. I try really hard to just turn it off now. So yeah, life is a lot more stressful than it used to be. And so it is really, really vital that we understand the things that we can do to make ourselves take that step back and put ourselves back into that rest and digest state and feel so much better about ourselves. It's that self-care. Um, so yeah, so we'll talk a bit about the vagal tone, what that is, and then like good stress, as mentioned, is like exercise is good stress, cold water therapy can be, learning a new hobby or pushing ourselves out of that comfort zone, standing in front of a group of people or going for a new job. That's all good for us. That's all a good stress. Um, and is there anything I've missed on there?
Yeah,
Anything I need to?
no, well, the only thing I was going to say is that really helped me understand because, just from my really personal experience, I struggle with migraines. When my estrogen really drops is when I am really likely to have a migraine. And so obviously with going through the perimenopause, it's dropping all the time, but it's not all the time. It's that whole roller coaster thing. So it's just something I'm extremely sensitive to. And I did notice that if I felt really stressed, I would get a migraine, and I couldn't work out why that was actually happening on a physiological level. Like, why would that actually happen when it's related to estrogen? But understand, when we put this course together and, understanding actually what was happening in the body because our ovaries are shutting down and our ovaries are what produce the estrogen, but it is the adrenals, like you said, that the adrenals actually take over the production of estrogen. So obviously the adrenals are what produce all the adrenaline and the cortisol and the stress hormones. So when we as the ovaries are shutting down and the adrenals have got this extra job of producing our estrogen, which is already dropping, if they're busy producing all the stress hormones, they produce even less of the estrogen. And it makes sense then why we're even more vulnerable to all the perimenopausal symptoms that are going on when we are more stressed. And for me, it just made so much more sense why actually looking after my vagal tone and all the things in terms of actually looking after my emotional health, it's so vitally important at this time in our life because our body's literally moving the estrogen production from over to our stress producing um, organ. So yeah, just to have this understanding of what's actually happening in our body is just so vitally important because for me that just gives me more motivation to actually look after myself and try not to get stressed at my teens and the other drivers and all the things, all the normal things in life.
And yeah, finding that time for yourself because we've spent years being the nurturers and looking after everybody. And I think most of us know that when that estrogen is dropping, and our cortisol is getting up, um, that we've just lost tolerance of people and everybody's crap. So it's telling
Perimenopause.
us it's telling us, look after yourself. Like you need to put
Exactly.
yourself first so you can show up for work or you can show up for your partner or you can show up for your kids and you're not snapping at them. So if whatever that means, whether that means a massage or going for a coffee with a friend or whatever it is. We're all different, but finding that something that calms us. Sometimes just sitting with a cup of tea and not racing around, just sit on the sofa and enjoying a cup of tea and being a bit more mindful about what you're doing. Just putting your hand on your chest and saying you're safe and looking after yourself is all you need to do, but it makes all the difference.
Yeah, and it literally does. It's not just sort of woo woo. It
Yeah.
really does. So yeah, amazing. Yeah, brilliant. So then we're going to move on to the low tox living part of the pillar, which is the final one, but it's actually a really, really critical one. Um, so we do know that lifestyle plays a big role in menopause. So actually, until very recently, there was actually no word for menopause in Japan or India, and it's becoming now. But as we see women switching to a more low tox way of living, we see they do have a natural decline in the amount of symptoms. And so we've seen this a lot in our community as well. So it's kind of known, oh, toxins disrupt the hormones, but what does that actually mean? So we're going to have a little bit of a look at that. So you can see on the next slide that since the 1950s, there's been close to now 90,000, there's about 2,000 per year of man-made synthetic chemicals that are created and that are used in products, whether it's pesticides on foods or it's in cleaning products or all sorts of body products, in materials, in medicines. They are literally everywhere, and they're just continuing to increase in number, and they aren't tested for human safety. If they are, some of them are, if they are, they're tested in the minute amounts that they might be produced in one particular product. So things like phthalates and parabens, they might be in a very small amount in, say, a body lotion, but they're also in our shampoo, and they're also in our toner, and they're also in our moisturizer, and they're also in our laundry powder that we're wearing on our clothes, and they're also in the dishwasher tablets. And so when we look at all the things that they're in and the amount of things. So on average, an average Western woman is putting about 6,000 synthetic chemicals on her body on a regular basis. And a lot of these products we're using every day. So it's not just a one-off in one product. It's a very much a compounded effort. And nobody is testing to see what the impact of that is. Yet we've got so many issues with hormone disruption in our society. We've got thyroid dysfunction, we've got fertility issues, we've got all sorts of menopausal issues. So we've got loads of hormone disruption, and we've got all these hormone disrupting chemicals, and we've got no one looking and trying to connect those dots. There is a beautiful company it's a non-profit organization called the EWG, so Environmental Working Group, in the US, and they are raising funds to try and do as much testing on behalf of the consumer as is possible. And they did a test on some newborn babies, and they took the umbilical cord blood from between the mother and the baby on the day that they're born. These were US babies, and they found the average US baby was being born with 232 synthetic chemicals on that's in their bloodstream on the day that they're born. So 208 of those are known to cause birth defects and abnormal development. 217 are known to be toxic to the brain and nervous system, and 180 of those are known to cause cancer in humans or animals. So these are found in cleaning products, body lotion, shampoos, makeup, pesticides, etc., etc. It is quite scary when we start to think about it. There's a brilliant book called Ultra Processed People by Chris Van Tollecken. Whereas I usually have it it's like my Siamese twin. I'll hear it in. This is my copy of it. You can get it on Audible as well. He's brilliant. He's a doctor, and he's got a twin doctor as well. And it talks all about the food industry and how basically it's become so synthesized and corrupted for profit. And I would just say everything that I've learned from this book, I have also seen is exactly the same in the body products industry. That things are cheapened and cheapened and to make profits, but at the cost of our health. And the same in the cleaning industry. So products that we're all using around our home. So I just highly recommend just becoming conscious of so that we can then make conscious choices about what we're putting on our body, because these are impacting our health. So just a quick video to show you how absorbent we are.
Unfiltered tap water, which we will pour in 2 glasses. OTO chemical, test for chlorine, very sensitive for it. 10 drops. Notice it turning yellow, the evidence of chlorine. No chlorine in this water. Where did that chemical go? While I was testing this glass over 10 seconds, all that chemistry went into my skin and my hands. The evidence is clear.
Okay, so I know it can be a little bit scary, but we are super absorbent to these chemicals, and these chemicals are known as well, they're called xenoestrogens. So xeno actually means in Greek, when we look at the etymology of it, is xeno is foreign, and estrogen is obviously estrogen. So I just want to explain a little bit what that actually means. Because every cell in our body has estrogen cell receptors, and every cell in our body wants to be estrogen balanced so that we are hormonally balanced. We hear this hormonal balance. What does that actually mean? It's having the right amount of estrogen inside every single cell. So every cell has this estrogen cell receptor, which is this like Y sort of looking shape that has the perfect sort of receptacle for the estrogen molecule, which you can see the nice pink, safe, real estrogen coming in, and that will absorb down into the cell. And the cell is where our energy function is. It's where we can kill off viruses. It's where everything happens. Our emotions are inside the cell. Everything's happening on a cellular level. That's what we're made up of. But unfortunately, xenoestrogens, which are all these, thousands and thousands of compounds that have been synthetically produced on this planet since, really since the 50s, you can see they are like slightly different shape. Obviously, this is just a diagram. This is not what they actually look like, but they are different shape, but they perfectly fit inside estrogen cell receptors. And this is what's the scary thing, is that we're consuming all these products or putting them on our body, or we're washing our clothes in fragrance and all sorts of things. And these molecules are going to the cell receptors, and the cell receptor is accepting these and taking them down onto a cellular level. That cell then says, oh, yeah, we've got the right amount of estrogen now because the cell receptors are let in the right amount. So we're balanced now. But then it's not balanced. It doesn't even have any estrogen, and it has a foreign object in there. And then there's all sorts of things that are being, all sorts of things that happen as a result of that chemical exposure. So we're not going to go into that, but we do know that there's huge increases in menopausal issues in our society. It's huge issues with fertility. We've had a massive drop in fertility and even sperm count in males. There's huge rise in PCOS and thyroid issues and even diabetes, and it affects all of this. And there's a lot of cellular health issues, which won't go into now, but this really is, I believe, a big problem in our society that's not really properly being looked at. So where are these things hiding? Where are these xenoestrogens hiding? Does anyone have any thoughts or ideas where they might be? I know the chat can be a little bit delayed, so we might, and I know we're short on time, so we'll just move on. Basically everywhere. I know it's a little bit scary, but you can see all the cleaning products, the perfumes, the aftershaves, the plugins, even receipts, till receipts, that thermal stuff is quite toxic for us. Plastics, the pesticides on foods, you see dishwasher tablets, medicines, hand wash. So really it's everywhere. So yes, in micro doses, maybe each individual thing is considered to be safe or deemed safe in an experiment, but unfortunately it is actually causing hormonal disruption. And that's not helping us when we're trying to balance our hormones. So we've got a quick quiz time for you, quick quiz. If you've got your phone on you, just scan the QR code or type in bit.ly/rate your load. And there's a quick 20 question quiz so that you can get maybe a little bit of an idea of where you're at in on your levels of chemical exposure. And there's no shame. No one's gonna judge you. We've had people get full 20 out of 20, so you won't be the first if that's you. So we'll just give you a minute or two to do that. And then feel free, if you want to share your score in the chat, go for it, but we're not going to force you to. We should have some elevator music on, shouldn't we, Joe? Maybe we could sing to everyone.
I won't sing. You got results coming in?
Yeah, I haven't got any coming in yet. I think we're nearly there. Can see people busy away. Okay, just starting to come in now. So that's good. Just give you another couple of seconds. Feel free to keep going with it. You can see we've got ranges from all sorts, just as our normal. And we find the average is usually around a score of 14 to 15. Like I said, we've had people with 19, 20 quite commonly. We find people with those lower scores are usually already on this low tox journey and already making some changes. It's fairly easy to make the change. It's just having an awareness. And I've found being part of doTERRA and using the essential oils in so many different ways has been the quickest and easiest and cheapest way to just switch over lots and lots of things. So keep them coming in. I can see them coming in, but we'll move on to the next bit. Yeah, people sharing. Thanks for sharing. Feel free to share your scores. So back to this chart that Joe shared at the beginning, but we can see again that that estrogen, that roller coaster of the estrogen, again, it's just such a critical time for us because those cell receptors are literally, they don't know one day from the next. So one day they've got enough and then the next day they haven't. So they're particularly vulnerable to these xenoestrogens because they're crying out for estrogen when it's low. And so when estrogen is naturally low in the body and we're having one of those dips, it's going to be even more susceptible to those xenoestrogens coming in. So it's just such a critical time. And I think all time is critical. Teenagehood is such a critical time and they're bombarded with these synthetics. Obviously a time when we're getting pregnant and before getting pregnant and then when we're pregnant, I think in a woman's life, it's critical sort of all the time. But you can see here from the chart that it is a time that we really, if we haven't woken up to it yet, now is the really good time to get going with it. So in our course, we show you some tools to what things to look out for. We're just going to run through these really, really quickly now because we haven't got too much time. But a couple of my favorite things to look out for are the ewg.org and also the Chemical Maze app. So if you look here at and it's not trying to brand shame because they're all as bad as each other, but just for example, this one, just in terms of the marketing, it looks like a brand that would be really sort of clean and pure and simple. But actually, when you look at it, it's got a lot of, on the next slide, if you actually put this into the Chemical Maze app, you can see there's a few clean ingredients down the bottom, but they're actually compounds of essential oils. And so they'll say it's naturally fragranced, but actually further up, about a third of the way through, there's perfume. So perfume is full of xenoestrogens. That's just an umbrella term of anything up to about 3,000 different synthetic compounds that could be in there. Much stronger. That's all the xenoestrogens. So they'll add in the little down the bottom, the trace amounts, natural ingredients, but that's not how it is actually fragranced. So it's just about knowing what to look out for. And it's so quick and simple and easy to make your own and cheaper. So I make my own with some really simple, beautiful ingredients. It's much, much cheaper. doTERRA do sell ready-made products like deodorant, toothpaste, shampoos, conditioners, body lotions, and everything. So if you're not a DIYer, you can obviously so you can buy a ready-made one when it's all beautiful and all natural. It's obviously cheaper to make your own, but it's yeah, it does work out cheaper if you want to switch to the low tox lifestyle if you're prepared to put in a little bit of effort. So we've got a face serum on the next slide. You can see all sorts of questionable ingredients. It really doesn't need to be, we don't need to be putting all this, I'm just calling it like a toxic chemical soup on our skin. It's just totally unnecessary. Use beautiful oils like frankincense that are known to nourish the skin. They're known to kill off any nasty cells that might be there and help with cellular regeneration, known to help with wrinkles, known to help with collagen. And we just put with a beautiful pure carrier oil like jojoba. So even the cost comparison here, I've chosen the most expensive essential oil with the most expensive carrier to try and create the most premium serum that I can when you DIY it. And it's still an absolute fraction of the cost of putting questionable ingredients on the skin. Same with cleaning products. So simple, quick, and easy to make your own, and it costs about £1 or £1.20 to make your own, and it smells amazing when you're using essential oils to clean your kitchen. So you'll notice that everything I'm talking about is these beautiful essential oils, and they really are the foundation of low tox living. Unfortunately, the essential oil industry itself is also a very corrupt industry. There's many fake, ineffective, and even dangerous products on the market, which is such a shame because when people reach for essential oils, they're generally on that conscious journey of trying to make a good and healthy choice for their body. Actually, Dr. S, who is someone I follow, he works for the APRC, which is an independent tester of the oils, and he picked out the #1 best-selling essential oil on Amazon is a 100% pure Bulgarian grown, pure and potent therapeutic grade lavender, and it's £10, I think, for a 10 ml bottle. And he has tested it, and it's 90% solvent. And the 10% is just random compounds and not including actual lavender essential oil. So that's what we're dealing with. The label will say it's 100% pure, but the reality is the testing that's been done globally is actually only 3 companies that have been found to have actually pure essential oils, which is really ridiculous and scary and corrupt and horrible. But of those 3 companies, there's only 1 company that are actually producing a therapeutic product. So pure is just the beginning. We actually want the most potent product, which I'll talk about in a bit. But essential oils, they're powerful, they're antibacterial, they're antifungal, they're antiseptic, they've got antimicrobial properties. We use them if we have a cold, like my son had a little bit of a sniffle and I've been fighting something off just for a day, but it's gone now. We can use them and they're just so incredibly powerful. So on the next slide, you can actually see how powerful they can be. So there's a lovely doctor in Germany, and she's done testing on all sorts of different pathogens, like chicken, raw chicken, mold, chicken poo, even like all different things, and kept them in her petri dishes in different, like in dark and in light and all different conditions. And she's tested it against industrial grade bleach and hospital grade cleaners. And she has found that the doTERRA On Guard blend has outperformed every single industrial product that is out there in terms of actually being anti-pathogenic. So these incredibly powerful. This is what I use to clean my home. I can even clean my chopping board with it, but it's safe to ingest. So I can lick my chopping board afterwards. I don't do that, but the fact is we can.
Yeah, I'm now using it. I won't let my children in my I'm a part-time teacher, those who don't know. I won't let the children in my classroom use hand sanitizer. So I've made my own one and they absolutely love it. They come up at break time, they're like, oh, so nice.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and this, store-bought hand sanitizer's got isopropyl alcohol, which is known to disrupt the gut microbiome, known to disrupt hormones. And yet through COVID, everyone was plastering themselves with it. We can just use a little bit of water and then just a drop of that On Guard, and it just kills anything bad, keeps all the good stuff, and does absolutely no harm and just supportive to the body. So I absolutely love using essential oils. I know we're running short on time, but just very quickly, you can see here peppermint plant. And that one on the right is a magnified leaf, so you can see the little essential oil. They look like egg sacs, but they're actually the essential oil sacs on the leaf when it's magnified. So if you have mint, it might not smell when you just put it to your nose, but if you rub the leaves, that's when you get the beautiful smell. And that what you're doing is you're actually bursting those little sacs. But that's actually what keeps the plant alive. It's its immune system. It's what it helps with germination when they get off the odor. It helps with the reproduction, which is what we do. Like we wear perfumes to smell pretty to attract a mate. So it really is, we're just using these. And the magic thing about them is like the xenoestrogens, essential oils travel right down into the cells, but they add value and they balance the hormones. They help with the energy production. They help fight off viruses. They work as like little soldiers for us in a really positive way that they can penetrate the cell bilayer and get to the inside as well. So I believe these are meant to be our medicine. And this is, yeah, this is what we've used for the last 12 years, apart from a broken wrist, a tooth extraction, and a knee replacement. They're my three things now in 12 years where we have used pharmaceuticals. But other than that, as a family of five, we've used not one pharmaceutical outside of that. So this is our medicine, and we use it, yeah, for cooking, cleaning, skincare, gut health. So for emotional support, and that helps with nervous system regulation. So they really do replace so many things in the home. So yeah, I touched on it before, but these oils are very different to any essential oils you might buy online. They pay the farmers fairly, so it's about lifting the people who are growing them as well as giving us the best possible oils on the planet. So they are pure, but they're also potent, so they're actually medicinal grade in a way that no other company is doing, and that's proven. So just want to give you a few ideas of how you might be able to use oils or how you might be able to combine these, so with the supplements to help particular things. So I know in this group, the things that came up with, so the brain fog and the sleep. Let's look back, the itchy skin, the weight gain. So no one actually said hot flashes. It's funny how hot flush is sort of known as the menopause thing. Yeah, actually, I think that's the one I hear least when people actually are sharing them. But you can see here just some remedies. So if you were suffering with hot flushes, we've got clary sage and lang lang. And actually, it doesn't really matter because clary sage and lang lang are hormone balancing oils. So they're actually just good to use regardless. Using them with a little bit of carrier oil. I use them as part of my moisturizer in the morning. So just have some oil or my plain lotion from doTERRA, and I add those in, and that's going to balance my hormones. So whether it's hot flushes or whether it's migraines or whether it's itchy skin or whether it's the brain fog, if my hormones are balanced, it's going to support that. But specifically with hot flushes, you can add some peppermint and it's going to be cooling to the body and really help keep the body temperature lower. And then for thinning hair, you can see here we've got the Vitality Pack, which has helped a lot of women boost that hair production, but also rosemary has been shown, this clinical study showing it stimulates the hair follicle and to produce thicker and better hair. So I add rosemary into my shampoo and I give myself a little treatment with castor oil and rosemary from now on time because my hair's definitely thinning. For stubborn fat, actually, citrus oils contain a compound called limonene. And if we put just even a drop of lemon or lime or grapefruit in water and drink that water, it actually goes in and it will break down petrochemicals. So if you come to a live class, it's a bit difficult to see on the screen. I wonder if I can do it. I've got a piece of polystyrene here. So I don't know if it's always a bit tricky to see it. But my magic trick is I'll put a drop of lemon on my hand and I don't disappear. But if I put it on a synthetic substance, I don't know if you can see that. It's actually eating away. Can you see that? Maybe. Anyway, it literally, within about 2 minutes, this whole thing will have disappeared. So it will seek out synthetic substances and destroy them. So often we find with weight loss that people will go on a journey, they'll eat right, they exercise right, and they sort of plateau at a certain place where they can't seem to shift anymore. And what we find actually is when there's this high level of toxicity, because we're just surrounded by so many things, we're eating it, we're, putting it on our clothes and all the things, our body will actually try and protect us from those toxins. If there's more coming in than it can flush out, and it actually wraps them in fat, because that fat is going to be a layer that protects the body from the toxin. And so that's actually gone all the way through now. I don't know if you can see that. So what that the body's very stubborn about that. When we say stubborn fat, it's often a toxicity thing. So when we then add the limonene and the citrus oils into our water, which I just put them in my water every morning, the body will seek out those petrochemicals and actually destroy them. But I've put a glass of water here on the screen because it's so important that we're not just going in, destroying them, and then leaving in our body. We want to flush them out with drinking plenty of water. But limonene, which is in citrus oils, is a really powerful way to help with that. And low mood, we've seen really amazing support with the lifelong vitality supplements, and then oils that are uplifting, like orange and chia and lemon and all our citrus, and then some nice grounding ones to help regulate the nervous system through that as well. So obviously there's hundreds and lots of different ways, and we've got an ebook actually for those who are here live on the call that you can download with lots of little remedies that will support you and help you with that. So I'll pass back to Jo. I'll just show you that.
Okay, so yes, yeah, amazing, isn't it? So how can you like continue with us? Obviously, we're happy to come into workplaces and talk. Some of the ladies on this call, I did a talk for the NHS during Menopause Week or Menopause Awareness Month. But yeah, we're happy to come into businesses and talk to people. We also have personal offerings. We're going to talk to you a little bit about special offer, and obviously the course we've been talking about throughout this call. Alison does massages as well with the oils. And obviously I help ladies with their strength training and nutrition and the whole picture basically. So, and it's our essentially empowered on my website. So yes, if you're interested, chat to your workplace and reach out if you think that it'd be nice to come in and talk to people you work with. Doesn't have to be women. I think men need to understand as well about supporting women in your workplace. It's not my won't click on very well. So yeah, personal offering is our course. We did a retreat a few months ago. We will hopefully do one next year, which is always lovely. But yeah, it's for women wanting to understand themselves better, wanting to take action and learn what's possible. And some of the things that obviously we've touched on this call. Alison is the expert when it comes to the oils. If you can get along to her live classes as well, they're amazing. They're based in Maidstone, and can run some in Ashford as well. If you want to learn more about the oils, that would be lovely to get you in our team. It's an amazing team. And Alison will talk to you a little bit about how the team works.
Yeah, so basically, Jo and I've created this comprehensive course. So obviously, we've touched on a little bit of nutrition today, a little bit of what you can do with movement, a little bit on stress, just to give you an idea, and obviously a little bit also on the Lox living. So we do have a full 40 minutes to an hour for the nutrition one. All the others are about 40 minutes, just giving you some really actual practical strategies in each of those areas. That's really just, it's not about doing all of them because that's just overwhelming and more stressful, but it's like, oh, okay, well, I could do a little bit of that and I could do a little bit of that, and just seeing what things you can implement that's going to help you give that more just transition to a smooth and peaceful and joyful transition through to the menopause. So the 5 modules do include all about reducing your toxic load, the nutrition, the movement and mindset, the quality sleep, and the stress. So you also get our ebooks. So we've got all food recipes that are really supportive to the hormones, a self-love, show yourself some love ebook, and also our menopause ebook as well, with lots of remedies in there. So anyone that does want to sign up to this course, you also get a free consultation with either Jo or myself. So once your products arrive, you're like, what on earth do I do with this? When do I take the supplements? What do I do with that? And we just go, look, it's completely normal. Let's start from the very beginning. Very good place to start, and just help you start in that really, really stress-free and, step-by-step way. So you also do get free access to the Ditch and Switch course. So if you're interested in low tox living, that's obviously my speciality. So you get, if you really want to dive deep into that, you have full lifetime access to that as well. So we obviously heavily investing in your progress, because we know that when we empower women to really understand what's actually going on in their bodies, we've just seen incredible outcomes, and it is worth stopping. Sometimes we sort of almost get a wake up call, like our body screams at us, and it's like a toddler, like the toddler doesn't stop screaming until you actually stop and listen to it. And sometimes I feel like menopause is like that. When your body's screaming at you, it's time for us to put ourselves first and actually invest in ourselves and understand how we can really support our body through this in the best possible way. So anyone that does join our doTERRA team, so is getting started with any of the oils or the supplements or the protein, automatically gets access to the full course and everything you've seen on the previous page. So this kit of oils you see on the screen, that's got 10 oils. And those 10 oils, we can show you how to replace your whole first aid cabinet, use them as medicine, makes your own cleaning products. You make them for your own body care products. Can use them for emotional support and nervous system regulation. There's gut health support ones in there. There's sleep support, there's stress support, and it's not about doing all those things at once. It's just about getting to know them slowly. So it also contains 30 or 60-day supply, depending. Kind of recommend probably starting on the half dose of supplements just to get your body used to them. So just one box with the 3 supplements in it would be 60-day supply. And then choosing either the vanilla or the chocolate plant protein, or if you don't want the protein, you want to try those later, that's totally fine as well. So we'll just give you a breakdown of what this hormone support kit looks like. So you get the 5-module menopause course, you get the ditch and switch course if that's an area of interest to you, you get a one-to-one consultation with us, you get that whole kit with the oils and the supplements and the protein. You get access to our beautiful doTERRA community where people are asking every day different things of what to do, and my pet's got fleas, what do I do now? And you learn lots of ways with other people who are just on this wellness journey and just trying to find natural ways of doing things, and just lifetime access to our beautiful community. So the value of each of these, you can see, is actually over £1,000, but you can get all of it today for £296.55. So that's everything that you see on the next screen, plus all the support and the course and lifetime access and support. So the QR code is on the top right hand corner there. If you want to have a look at a basket, that basket will bring up everything that you can see there on the screen. It does bring up both the chocolate and the vanilla plant protein, so you can remove whichever one you don't want from the basket. You can remove both if you want to try those later. You will have a doTERRA account. This gives you access to doTERRA, which gives you a 25% discount on doTERRA for a year. So you've got 12 months to try any other products that you might like as well. So use the link on the screen to look at the basket. I know some people on the call already have using doTERRA and have their account. So I saw Stacey saying she's just putting another order in for her lifelong vitality supplement. So if you do have an account already, you can just log in, order the products, shoot us a message, and we'll send you the whole course and all the support and make sure that you've got access to all that as well. But if you're brand new, we will get an email to say that you've joined, and then we'll reach out to you and make sure that you're connected with everything. So if you want to talk it through, you can talk to either myself or Joe, either through, if you're already connected with us, connect through the school platform or wherever you're already talking to one of us, or you can use these links here to book in just a 15-minute chat with us. There's no obligation. We just really want to help people to find the best way forward for you. So, and we can find out a bit more about your personal circumstances, because I know some people have other health issues that are going on, and it might be that we want to look at a slightly varied way of getting started, and that's totally fine. We work with you to make sure that you feel amazing on this journey. That's the plan. So, that's our prompt to stop recording. So let me just stop the recording now, but hang on those who are on live, because we're going to give you a gift. How do I stop recording? Here's my brilliant tech capacities. There it is.